Now, what are the requirements for IoT? First of all, the most important one I would say should be this low barrier to entry, so that one should be easily able to evaluate as well as prototype their application and then be able to deploy those application in an actual area where something needs to be done. The devices has to handle extreme hardware and software heterogeneity. They should work in complete conjunction with each other, as well as they have to handle the atmospheric conditions also. It should be built for hyperscale and enable low data latency. The data should appear fast whenever it is transmitted from my end device, and it should be scalable, easily scalable, and provide a big data telemetry network. So these are some very simple IoT architecture requirements. And so we just saw about a thing or device. The total components then in IoT are that particular thing or device sending data to a gateway. This gateway is nothing but something like Wi-Fi router, which sends data to cloud. Then onto the cloud, there is a large piece of software which will do the analysis for you. And then the data is represented to the user in form of a clean and neat user interface. Now, this is a reference IoT architecture we'll be talking about. So this is divided into four major things. First is the hardware part, the devices and data sources, where you can have or you can create IP capable devices or connect existing devices. Then there is data transporting, where most of the security concerns, gateway, and a lot of things will come into picture. They're on the cloud front, where the data is once received, then the major part is being played here, where you process the data. So a number of different things would come here: provisioning the APIs, performing the storage, managing the databases, doing the machine learning or deep learning algorithms onto the received data for the proper analysis. Lastly, there is data presentation. So in terms of either GUIs, graphs, plots, or n number of visualization technique, you can send that data here. Now, looking at this simple diagram, you can easily tell me who can work into this whole IoT structure. Anyone? Who can work here? Just let me ask you one question. Can a graphic designer work in IoT? Yes. Of course, graphic designer can work where he will create the UI and UX part of the IoT. Now, can a data scientist work in IoT? Of course, yes. There is a lot of data to be analyzed, and we are for sure going to need a data analyst. But talking about again completely different thing, can a hardware engineer work in IoT? Electronics hardware who can just design the systems? Of course, a hardware engineer can work into it. Can a C programmer who has just worked on C ever work in IoT? Yes, of course, because the embedded programming is to be done mostly in C or in Python. So there is space for Python, there is space for network engineers, Somin, that's great. There is space for cloud specialist, there is space for a security specialist, there is a space for everything that goes on into it technically first. But can you tell me, if I work in finance, is there any role for me in an IoT company? We had one person from finance. I am extremely sorry I forgot the name. Now, if you talk about the finance and business aspect of IoT, of course, if I'm telling you to sell computer, you need to know some things about computer, or you need to be knowing know-how of the computer so as to completely organize the sales strategy for it. Knowing about IoT can not only help you create sales strategies for IoT, but also can help you give more ideas to your companies, your clients, or the people who are willing to dive into the IoT. You can give ideas to them that how you can connect this particular process to internet and what can be done into it. Talking about this, why I'm telling you these things is there is a piece of cake for almost everyone in the IoT tree. Anyone who is currently working into some kind of areas of tech or finance or sales can find their place into the IoT. But what is the requirement then? You need to know, at least if you are not expert, but you need to know every single thing of IoT, how it works. You may not be expert into it, but you need to know what are these things, what is this thing, what are these things, as well as how data is represented. So that's the reference architecture of IoT.